Good day once again. So in the previous discussion, we've been talking about the contribution of Socrates in line with on how we'll be able to understand ourselves and also the point of view of Plato on how Plato helps us to better understand ourselves fully. And the third one is Saint Augustine, and also he tried to let us to understand the connection of the body and the soul. So in this particular discussion, now we're going to talk about the importance also of one of the philosophers' contribution in terms of on how we'll be able to understand ourselves fully. Rene Descartes says on his very popular tagline, "Cogito ergo sum," I think, therefore I am. If you keep on telling to yourself that I think I am genius, then I need to excel. I think I am better than you, then this is me. You cannot question those things. But how about the attitude that we've been showing to others? How about the real character that we've been showing? Rene Descartes' famous line, "Cogito ergo sum," translated as "I think, therefore I am," became a fundamental element of Western philosophy as it secured the foundation for knowledge in the face of radical doubt. He asserted that everything perceived by the senses. What are those senses? The five senses that you have: the touch, the taste, the smell, hear, and seeing. Now, only one thing we could be sure of in this world, that was everything could be doubted. In turn, by doubting his own existence, Descartes proves that there is a thing entity that is doing the act of doubting. Rene Descartes was a French philosopher, mathematician, and a scientist. He is considered the father of modern Western philosophy. Descartes is often regarded as the first thinker to emphasize the use of reason to describe, predict, and understand natural phenomena based on the observational and empirical evidence according to Bertrand 2004 and Roswell's 1991. Now, I think, therefore I am. Maganda ako. Maganda talaga ako. Paano yung attitude natin? Paano yung pakikitungo natin sa kapwa-tao? Gwapo ako? Oo, gwapo ako. Bakit ginamit ko ba sa tama yung pagkagwapo ko? Hindi ko ba naabuso yung pagkagwapo ko? Has something to do with our inner conviction on how you'd be able to do something towards others. The attitude person. Paano mo lubusan nakilala yung sarili mo? Descartes proposed that doubt was a principal tool of disciplined inquiry. His method was called hyperbolical or metaphysical doubt, also sometimes referred to as methodological skepticism. It is a systematic process of being skeptical about the truth of one's beliefs in order to determine which belief could be ascertained as true, according to Roger 1994 Philosophy Glossary, University of Boston. Sa pagdududa mong yan, nagkakaroon ka ng katuturan ng tamang pagnilay-nilay kung ano yung narapat-dapat at karapat-dapat para ipairal at ipalaganap. Hindi ibig sabihin nagdududa ka, ay pangit at negatibo na ang dating. You are trying to justify only what is good, then continue. What is bad, then eliminate. Descartes' claims about the self are, it is constant, it is not prone to change, and it is not affected by time. Ito, ikaw na yan. Hindi nagbabago yan. Pag sinabi mong after a year, hindi magtataas yung edad, hindi. Every year, yung edad natin nadaragdagan. Be true to yourself. Claims that this is me. Do not ashamed of whatever people says against on you. Hayaan mo sila. Kilala mo kaya sarili mo. Ikaw naman kaya yan. I think, therefore I am. Huwag ka na magdududa pa sa kanila. Hayaan mo yan sila. Only the material soul remains the same throughout time. So ano yung soul na sinasabi? Yung kaluluwa natin. Mamatay man tayo sa mundong ating ginagalawan, nagugunaw yung physical body natin, pero yung kaluluwa natin hindi. Babalik at babalik pa rin sa tunay na may-ari nito. Sino yun? Si God. Can you still remember the theory of St. Augustine? Okay? The body and soul. The material soul is the source of our identity. Paano tayo nagkakaroon ng source of identity sa ating material soul? Paano mo pinamukha yung totoong ikaw? Sabi nga nila, ang totoong ikaw ay ikaw yan. Mabait, mabait ka. Masamang tao ka, masamang. Pero maraming mga masasamang tao, busilak ang kalooban. Sa mata ng iba, masama na sila. Pero yung ginagawa nila, hindi natin na-recognize. The only thing that panay natin nakikita sa kanila, yung nagagawa na nilang isang mali. Pero paano yung maraming tamang ginawa nila para sa lahat? Okay? He further asserted that this thinking entity could exist without the body because it is material substance. However, nevertheless, this material substance possesses a body and is intimately bound, joined by it, by the soul, forms a union with its body. Despite this body-soul union, Descartes reasoned that soul is still distinct from the body. So, some distinctions between body and soul, as pointed out by Rene Descartes. The soul, it is conscious. Think substance that is unaffected by time. Hindi naapektuhan. The body, it's material substance that changes through the time. So from ngayon, wala ka pang bigote kung lalaki ka. Kung babae ka, sometimes the body feature or the form of your body, hindi pa nag-change. Pero time goes by rather, nagbabago at nababago pa rin tayo. Yung physical appearance natin, yung mukha natin, yun yan, huwag ka nang mahiya. It is known only to itself. Only you know your own mental event and others cannot correct your mental states. Sa soul, hindi yan. Wala nakakabasa nito, ha? Kung ano yung iniisip mo, hindi nababasa ni only God. It can be doubted. The public can correct claims about the body. Pwede yun. Uy, ba't ka tumaba? Uy, ba't ang pangit mo na ngayon? Hayaan mo yung mangot siya sa'yo na kabaka. Hayaan mo mangot siya sa'yo na pangit ka. Ang importante, hindi pa rin nagbabago yung disposisyon ng pag-uugali mo. It is not made up of parts. It views the entirety of itself with no hidden or secret compartment. It's both conscious and aware of itself at the same time, yung soul mo. Minsan kasi mahirap mag-cooperate, ano? Kahit alam na nating mali, patuloy pa rin. Alam na nating tama, iniiwasan at hindi tinatanggap ang mga suggestion. It is made up of physical, quantifiable, divisible parts. So physical ito, quantifiable, divisible parts. Ulo, liig, kamay, balikat, kilikili, bewang, hanggang pababa. Ma-identify natin yung maayos. God is really good kasi binigyan na tayo ng tamang pag-iisip kung paano ito gagamitin, ikaw lang ang nakakaalam mo. Okay? So, simple lang. Tandaan natin ang pinaka-famous line ni Rene Descartes. Cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Okay, so let's continue with our discussion. The other philosophers believe in this famous line. It says, human mind at birth is tabula rasa, which means that knowledge is derived from experience. According to John Locke, by the way, was a philosopher and physician and was one of the most influential Enlightenment thinkers. At the age of enlightenment, or the age of reason, was an intellectual and philosophical movement that dominated the ideas in Europe during the 18th century. If Descartes described the self as a thinking thing, okay, Locke expanded this definition of self to include the memories of that thinking. Thinking thing. Locke believed that the self is identified with consciousness, and this self consists of sameness of consciousness. This is usually interpreted to mean that the self consists of memory. That the person existing now is the same person yesterday because he or she remembers the thoughts, experiences, or actions of the earlier self, according to Naxalas 1994 and Patch 2017. Imposible yung nagawa mo kahapon, hindi mo kaagad maalala ngayon. Yung nakaraan mo, hindi mo maalala. Imposible yun. Kaya pag iniwanan ka na ng ex mo, huwag ka nang maghabol. Move on. Pinahirapan mo lang sarili mo eh. Kung ayaw na sa'yo ng ex mo, only one thing for sure, a better future ahead of you. Magnilay-nilay ka. Blanko ka sa kasalukuyan. Pero nung dumaan ang kasalukuyan, yun ang kahapon. Nagkakaroon ka na ngayon ng karanasan sa kahapon nang dahil yun, nagkakaroon ka na ng magandang pundasyon para sa inaharap at sa harapin mo pa. Kaya, do not lose hope. Kasi lahat naman tayo nag-uumpisa, nangangapa. Kagaya mo, kagaya ko, being a college student before, being a student before, nangangapa din ako. I don't know how to use my intellect. I don't know how to use my capacity in explaining the thing. Pero dahan-dahan lang. Huwag biglain. Para hindi masaktan. Dahan-dahan para kusa mong makamtan ang ninanais mong makamtan. Okay? Lahat naman dumaan sa kasalukuyan at nagkakaroon ng karanasan at magandang hinaharap dahil sa karanasan yun. For Locke, a person's memories provide a continuity of experience that allows him or her to identify himself or herself as the same person over time. This theory of personal identity allows Locke to journey or to justify a defense of accountability according to Winkler, 1991. So, nandahil sa experiences na yun, nakakaroon ka ng katatagan sa iyong puso. Nandahil sa karanasang yun na hiniwalayan ka ng iyong boyfriend, ng iyong girlfriend, natauhan ka na ngayon na hindi pa na huli ang lahat. Hindi ako magmamadali. Always wait for the proper time. Minsan sinasabi, mahal natin, ma, I love you, ma, I love you pa. It's too late. Kung patay na si mama at papa kasi hindi sila makapag-reply siya na I love you to son, I love you to daughter. I'm so sorry. Diyan ba tayo magsasorry kung patay na? It's too late. Ang karanasang yun ang magbibigay sa atin ng pagmulat sa mata upang makita natin ang katotohanan natin ginagalaw. Kung nadapa ka man ngayon, it's not the end of the world. It's the beginning for you to stand up and to face the beauty of the world that this is me. I am ready. I am tabula rasa. But now, meron na akong karanasang pwede kong masasabing ito yung tabula rasa ko noon at may laman na siya at pwede ko nang ibahagi sa inyo. Naging matatag ako ngayon. To Locke, since the person is the same self in the passing of time, he or she can be held accountable for the past behaviors. So kung pangit yung pag-uugali yung pinapakita natin doon, mahilig tayong sumagot-sagot sa magulang natin, pinapaaral na tayo, pero naging sutil tayo. Then you realize that you are the cause of sudden heart attack of your parent or somebody. It's not too late to regret, but it is the right time for us to change and to face the consequences of what we have done. Babago tayo. Lahat naman ay nadadapa. Lahat naman ay dumanas ng kahirapan. Lahat naman ay dumanas ng mga pagsubok. Ang importante, positibo ang panay natin nakikita ang solusyon. You become more optimistic in facing all the realities in life. Huwag tayo puro pessimistic. Karamihan sa mga pessimistic na tao, yun si Marites. Pati si Tolets. You know Tolets? Tol, anong latest? Mare, anong latest? Alam niyo ba ang mga mata ng mga Marites? Mga Tolets. Ano ba? Huwag. Nandahil sa karansang yun, nagkalaman ang iyong pag-iisip upang harapin ang tama, ipatuloy, ang mali, iwasan. Okay? Now, let's continue. Locke asserted that the state of person who cannot remember his or her behavior is the same as the state of a person who never committed the act, which meant the person was ignorant. O, di ba? Daming, ano palang nagawa ko? Di ba? Nang ka-amnesia. Nagsiyang gumawa ng kasalanan, pero nagpaamis siya. Ang hirap ng taong pag nagkasala. Sila pa yung banal, pero yung taong gumagawa ng tama, sila pa yung naging masama sa iba ng tao nang dahil sa mga piling banal. Mahirap. Kaya, if I of you, do not try to submit yourself and to succumb to temptation that surrounds you. Iwasan kung pwede iwasan. Pagpatuloy ang relasyon, putulin ang hindi nararapat na attitude. Huwag mo lang putulin ang relasyon bilang isang kapatid, bilang isang magkaibigan. Galit ka lang sa ugali. Huwag lang sa pagmamahal na pwede pa nating ipamalas hanggat nabubuhay pa sila at nabubuhay pa tayo para maramdaman nila ang totoong kagalakan ng ating puso at totoong kagalakan ng ating isip at magkakaroon tayo ng matiwasay na pamumuhay. Okay? Now let's continue with the other philosophers. According to David Hume, all knowledge is derived from human senses. So sinabi kanina ni John Locke about the senses. Nilanggit ko kanina ang 5 senses. Pero ito naman kay David Hume has something to do with the 5 senses. The hearing, the seeing, the smelling, tasting, and touching. David Hume was a Scottish philosopher, economist, and historian during the Age of Enlightenment. He was a first opponent of Descartes' rationalism. Rationalism, by the way, rationalism, it is the theory that reason rather than experience. Diba? Pag dito ka, mga rational na mga tao, rason. Lahat ng bagay may rason. Hindi pinapakinggan ang mga karanasan. Kaya karamihan din sa atin, hindi tayo nakikinig sa mga magulang natin kasi ang panay sinusunod natin yung atin lang pag-iisip na kuwari pakiramdam natin tama. Pero sa bandang dulo pala nagsisisi ka pa rin. Sana nakinig ako kay mama, sana nakinig ako kay kuya, kay ate, kay papa. It's too late to regret. But it's not too late to restart again. Okay? It is the foundation of all knowledge. Hindi naman masama maging rational ka na pagkatao. Pero kailangan makibagay ka rin. Huwag mong i-impose, huwag mong ipilit yung gusto mo lang. Sana marunong din tayong makinig para magkakaroon tayo ng magandang relasyon sa mga taong nakasalamuhan natin araw-araw. Okay? Hume, along with John Locke and Bishop George Berkeley, was one of the 3 main figureheads, of the influential British empiricism movement. Empiricism is the idea that the origin of all knowledge is sense experience. So mga empiricists, lahat ng nandito sa kanila nang dahil sa kanilang karanasan. Pero yung mga rationalists, hindi sila naniniwala sa karanasan, pero naniniwala sila dito sa kanilang kaalaman. Okay? It emphasized the role of experience and evidence, especially sensory perception, in forming concepts while discounting the notion of innate ideas. Innate ideas. Simulat sa pool, andyan na yung ideas mo, hindi naka-inject sa... Nobody was able to inject that ideas of theirs, pero nakukuha at natutunan mo lang talaga yun ng pusa dahil nasa sayo na yun. According to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, 2017. Hume is identified with the bundle theory, wherein he described the self of person which Hume assumed to be the mind as a bundle or a collection of different perceptions that are moving in a fast and a successive manner. Therefore, it is a perpetual flux. Hume's theory began by denying Descartes' view of the immaterial soul and of its experiences. Empiricists like Hume believed that human intellect and experience are limited. Therefore, it is impossible to attribute it to an independent, persisting entity, the soul. David Hume concluded that the self is merely made up of the successive impressions, according to Pike 1967 and Siegel 2005. Hume divided the mind's perception into 2 groups, stating that the difference between the two consists in the degrees of force and liveliness with which they strike upon the mind. One is impression. These are the perceptions that are most strong. They enter the senses with most force. These are directly experienced. They result from inward and outward sentiments. So kung ano yung nakikita ng tao, impression, ito matalino to. Oh yeah, I agree with that. Matalino siya. Mahirap. So ang talino lang nakikita, pero hindi yung totoong pagkatao ng isang talinong tao. Okay? Ideas these are the less forcible and less lively counterparts of impressions. These are mechanisms that copy and reproduce sense that formulated based upon the previously perceived impressions. Ay, ganito pala siya. Pero at the back of that mind, meron ka palang another business in order for you to conquer and to support in dealing with other people. Okay? Hume asserted that the notion of the self could not be verified through observation. So hindi lang siya ma-verify. Ito, kailangan makipamuhay at makasalamuha ka talaga. Kaya nga, sa counseling session, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na, kilala na kita, hindi. Huwag mo akong i-convince na, isang pagka, nakita mo lang ito, alam mo na yung personality nito, wrong. You should know how to go with the proper process para malalo mong makilala at makilalang lubusan ng isang tao bago mo siya husgahan. Kasi minsan, daming nadadamay sa maling paghuhusga. Kawawa naman yung mga biktima. Naway magnilay-nilay tayo bago tayo magbigay ng verdict. Okay? Yung compare the self of a nation, whereby a nation retains its being a nation, not by some single core or identity, but by being composed of different, constantly changing elements such as a people, system, culture, and beliefs. Ang bansa na natiling bansa. Ang nakatira sa bansa ay nagbago-bago. Minsan dami nagmamigrate sa ibang bansa. Minsan yung taga-ibang bansa nagmamigrate sa ating bansa. Pero ang tiyak, ang bansang Pilipinas na natiling andyan. Pero ang naninirahan sa bansang Pilipinas, bawat minuto, bawat segundo, ay napapalitan. You know what I mean? Namamatay, may pinanganak, may bagong mukha, may matandang mukha, may batang mukha. Pero ang tiyak, lahat ng ninirahan dito sa mundo ay walang forever. Bakit may forever ka ba sa buhay mo? Baka nga, bulahin mo ako. Hume did not believe on the existence of the self. He stressed that your perceptions are only active for as long as you are conscious. Tama, di ba? Imposible unconscious ka. Tapos, ay, nakita ko siya. Unconscious ka nga eh. Hindi ka nga kung sabi na niya. He stressed that your perception are only active for as long as you are conscious. According to you, should your perception be removed for any time, and you can no longer sense yourself, then you also cease to exist. In this line, Hume seemed to reduce the self as a light bulb that may be switched on off or off. Pag gising ka, on. Pag tulog ka, off. Kaya wala kang kamalay-malay kung anong nangyaring kaganapan. Kaya huwag mong sabihin sa akin, anong oras ka natutulog? 10:00 po. Paano mo nalaman na 10:00 tulog ka na? Nobody knows the exact time that you fall asleep. Nobody knows that you fall asleep at exactly 10 o'clock in the evening. Kasi parehas kayo tulog. Aware ka lang na nakahiga ka around 10 o'clock. But you didn't know what is the exact time that you really fall asleep. Yun. Dapat natin matandaan. Kaya huwag mong sabihin, ay hindi ako nakasagot ng tawag mo kagabi kasi tulog na tulog ako sa 10:00 pa lang tulog na ako. Paano mo nalaman na unconscious ka na? Sabi nga niya, ang perception makikita lang pag conscious ka. Okay? Yung self is a passive observer similar to watching one's life pass before the eyes like a play on a screen, whereby the total annihilation of the self comes. Death. So, delikado na to. Lahat man tayo na mamatay. Yun ang realidad. Kaya huwag kang matakot. Ang lahat ng bagay dito sa mundo, kung nabubuhay ka mang matagalan, bonus na yon. pag umabot na yung edad mo na 80 hanggang 100 years old, bonus na yun kay God. Pero ang tanong, hindi pa kaya napapagod yung katawan natin? Napapagod nga yung makinarya, kailangan patayin. Katawan pa kaya natin na tayong gumagawa ng makinarya? Kaya sa ating pagpatuloy sa kung paano natin alamin ang ating sarili, naway nakakaroon tayo ng konting kaalaman tungkol sa mga bagay-bagay na pinaparating sa atin ng mga philosophers, kagaya nila David Hume, Rene, and John Locke. Naway hindi natin makakalimutan ang kanilang mga famous taglines. Sabi nga ni Rene Descartes, balikan natin Socrates, sabi niya, I know that I don't know. The unexamined life is not worth living. Good actions give strength to ourselves and inspire good actions in others. According to Plato, balance between mind and soul. According naman to Saint Augustine, all knowledge leads to God. And Rene Descartes, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. And John Locke, human minds at birth is tabula rasa, which means that knowledge is derived from experience. And David Hume says, all knowledge is derived from all human senses. Thank you so much for being with me in this journey. Have a nice day. Stay safe always. Bye-bye for now. See you next discussion. God bless everyone.